Hello and welcome. In this video, I will be doing a demo of the Resource Capacity Planner Excel template. I'm going to start from a blank template and then I'm going to enter information and see how that information is captured in the template and also how the output works. And this is a template that is designed to help understand the capacity of resources that you have and compare that capacity with the demand in order to identify the surplus or deficit capacity that you have. So now let's take a look at the template. Okay, so this is our template. This is how the template will be when you first open it, and you have some support or help information on the right side. You can definitely use those at any time. And the first sheet is a setting sheet, which is where we are, and we will be entering 6 specific inputs to begin this template. So the first thing is demand aggregation. So let's assume that our demand data, demand meaning how many hours of work do we have to do, and this is available at a weekly level. So I'm going to assume weekly. So if your demand is daily, you will choose daily or monthly. Those are the options. And the start date is 1st January and end date, let's say we have our end date in May. So I just type in May 9th and now this will get updated as May 9th. In our organization, let's say we have only Sundays as weekends. So I'm going to choose Sunday. And there are all these options available for you to choose. We're going to plan for number of hours for now. And then this is the place where you would enter if your company has any company holidays. So let's say I have, January 15th is a holiday. And then we have one more holiday, let's say January 28th. So we can enter these two and that's how it works. So it's very important that you are entering the data inside this holiday table. So if your data that you have entered is within the table, select the data and then you will select a specific cell and you will see that there is a table tools design ribbon. So if I'm clicking here, you can see that the table tools ribbon does not appear. So it's very important that your data on holidays is within this table. And if it's within this table, the table tools design ribbon will appear. This is how you can identify and confirm that you've entered the information in the right place. If I enter the data here, for example, if I put in 29, please note that the format didn't change. And when I'm selecting this cell, you can see that the table tools design ribbon does not appear. And that means that I have entered this data outside my holidays table. So how can I enter it within the holidays table? Make sure that you enter in the first available row. So we already entered 2 rows and now click here. And now if I enter this information, now you will see that this is a holiday because when I click on this, you will see the table tools ribbon. So please make sure that you enter any data in the tables inside the table. Similarly, skill groups. You can, if you enter anything like a skill group here, that will not be part of this table. And so click in the first row that's available to you, and then type your skill group. So I'm going to say project manager is my first skill group, and I'm going to say this is 50 is a cost per hour. And then the next one I have is analyst, let's say. So this is another skill group and this is going to be 40. And so these are 2 skill groups. You can enter up to 30 skill groups. Now let's go to the resources sheet. This is where we are going to enter each of our resource. And in this scenario, I'm going to assume all my resources are employees or human resources. So I'm going to say employee 1. And let's say this employee starts from 5th of January and I type that in. And this employee does not work on Sundays, works on Monday, 8 hours, does not work on Tuesday, works on Wednesday for 8 hours, and then Friday. Okay, so this is, let's say this is the availability of the resource. And then I'm going to call this a project manager skill group. And let's enter one more employee 2. And let's say this person starts from January 15th. And so let's say this person works 8 hours Monday through Friday. So I select all these cells, press 8, press Control Enter, and that will put 8 in all the cells. And this is the analyst skill group. These two employees have not left the project, so there is no end date. If any of the employee leaves a project midway, then you will put an end date for that employee. So that's it. This is our standard availability. And now here you can enter the vacation or overtime info. Similar to the resources table, make sure that you start entering from the first row available. So I'm going to select employee 1. Let's say this employee takes vacation on 13th of January, and then this employee is going to be out for 5 hours. So he or she is taking 5 hours off on that day. So next one, employee 2, and here let's say the date that this person is going to take off is February 5th, and this person is going to be taking off or let's say this person is going to do overtime or extra time, and that means I will enter a positive value. So I will enter positive 5 if that person is going to do overtime. So now let's go and see the capacity so far, and I go to the capacity sheet, and you will see that the project manager is available from the first week all the way through May, the end of our project, and analyst though begins only in the 3rd week. So the first 2 weeks you don't have any capacity for analyst, you only have the project manager skill set. And so this is done for you, and it will take into account the vacation taken by the person or extra time and all that. So now let's enter some demand data. So demand is how much work is actually needed to be done, and in this case, let's say consistently I need 10 hours of work every week for the project manager, and then for the analyst we need 20 hours of work every week. And so this is how I would enter the demand information. Now let's go and check the comparison. So this is the surplus versus deficit surplus deficit sheet, which tells you initially in the first week you have less project manager resource than you need, but then after that you have surplus, which means they are green, you have surplus hours. On the analyst side, the first couple of weeks when you don't have an analyst, you have a deficit, but then after that there is surplus, and towards the end in the last week you actually have a deficit again. Okay, so now this is the surplus deficit sheet. Now let's go and see the summary sheet, which will summarize the total hours of capacity that we have, total demand, and then surplus or deficit, and then the ratio of demand to capacity. Similarly, on the cost side, the information will also be displayed as a chart. And this is where we can choose between hours and cost. When I choose hours, I can see the total capacity of project manager resources 416 hours, and I only need 190 hours of demand. Similarly, on the analyst side, when you look at the surplus or deficit, so as we scroll down further, you will see you can choose a specific skill group, and then it'll show you the trend of capacity versus demand. And this is for the project manager resource, and for the analyst, you can see the capacity versus demand over time. So this is the summary report, which is fully automated and available for you. And then we have the employee report, which is the employee sheet where you can choose a specific employee, such as employee 1, and then you will see the capacity of that employee month by month, and then any vacation or overtime taken by that person. In this case, the employee does not show up to be having any vacation or overtime, which is interesting because we did provide vacation or overtime information for employee 1. Okay, there you go. I should have put 2016. And so 13th January 2016 is vacation time for employee 1. So let's go and check again. Employee 1, yes, there you go. Vacation -5. And you will also see that on this day, January 13th, only available for 3 hours. So usually available for 8 hours, but since the person is taking 5 hours off, it shows up as 3, and also it shows up with a blue color, which is for vacation. And if let's choose the employee 2 now, and this employee should be taking overtime, so plus 5 hours, and the overtime 5 and adding on to the standard 8 becomes 13, and this is shown in purple for overtime. So this employee report basically will summarize every day availability of that specific resource. It'll also color the weekends, holidays, overtime, and vacation for you, and it'll summarize all these at the top by month. And so this is ready to be printed. You can just hit file, print, and it'll print the employee report for you. So this is the final sheet, and as we go back to the beginning, this template is helpful to calculate your capacity of resources, and then you can compare that with the demand that you have for each of the skill groups, and you can automatically create some reports based on where the surplus or deficit capacity that you have. In addition, you can also calculate create an employee report showing the specific availability of that employee for every day. So if you have any questions about this template, please leave them in the comments. This is the first version of this template, so I look forward to your feedback in order to make further enhancements to the future versions. Thank you very much for watching the video.